So tell me more about what other stuff you have done. What were you doing before that, or what are some pieces you're especially proud of? Let's
I'm
show off.
When people ask me like, what do you do? I always start with motion graphics and visual effects, and a lot of people are like, oh, for movies? And I'm like, yeah, sometimes, but it's not quite as exciting as that. Sometimes it is, but not all the time.
Now, I'll stop you. Just because it's not exciting for you doesn't mean it's not exciting for us.
That's true.
Right? Anyone's job is exciting if you only have to talk about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's when you get into all the minutia that it gets boring. So no, believe me, I'm still incredibly interested to hear about what motion graphics are.
Yeah. So with motion graphics and visual effects, I've been doing that ever since I was very little, actually. So I come from a big family, kind of like you.
All right, there's already a lot to unpack there. How little are we talking?
I'm talking...
Like 3-year-old Will, like claymation animating or something?
Actually, yes. And I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't have thought about that. So most kids back in the late 80s, early 90s were starting to get VHS recorders in the house. And so there was
the big old shoulder mount camcorders?
Yeah. Those same ones. They're great. They're awesome. I actually found the one I grew up with recently. My brother found it at the DI, the same one. Got that, want to do some stuff with that. Huh? Yeah, it's in perfect shape. So I want to do something with it, just for memory's sake, and then I'll probably get rid of it. But
good old nostalgia.
Yep. Anyways, doing like Lego stop motion animation and clay too. I had an older brother that was using clay all the time, and so we did a lot of stuff with that too. But where I consider the start of my visual effects and motion graphics career was one of my older brothers, and and you'll hear this a lot. I'm a chimera of all my siblings. I do feel that way because they have all these interests, and that's all been distilled slowly down to the youngest. And
now, once again, you say you're in a big family. This is key to understanding a person. What number are you of how many?
I am number 7 of 8.
7 of 8.
Oh, sorry, 6 of 8.
6 of 8. Yeah. Okay. All right. That does paint a picture.
6 of 8. So that's where I am in the board collective. So 6 of 8. So
yes, I am 4th of 9.
4th of 9.
Which
I'd like to make a correction. Will is 7 of 8.
Oh yeah, 7 of 8. 7 of 8. Yeah.
Will, are you losing siblings?
Not yet, thankfully. Hopefully not soon. No, 7 of 8. So yeah, that's right.
You think I have imaginary friends? Will is already adding in extra siblings between him and the end.
But yeah, I'm the youngest boy. And most of our family's boys, we have 2 sisters at each end. But all of them I consider inspirations and make up a huge part of who I am and where I've gone in my career with my talents and my skills. And so my oldest brother, he got into 3D animation in the mid-90s, late 90s. He had a copy of a piece of software called 3D Studio Max, and I can remember the first time I ever sat down with that. And that probably had the biggest impact on my life up to this point is that one moment. So, and I've been involved with 3D ever since. And I had another brother, I stepped away from it and he reintroduced it to me when I could actually do something with it. I had the mental capacity to do something with it. And that's where that's where it took off.
Can you remember your first project? Like what is for programmers, it's Hello World, right? The first time that they create that Hello World on the screen. For motion graphics, what is your Hello World? Is it a waving hand, a walking guy? What's the moment?
The one that sticks out in my mind, there was a lot before this, but the one that feels like I was taking it seriously. Like I had a passion for this and I wanted it done. I wanted to look good was in high school. It was actually my senior year in high school where I did a little short film for the Utah Multimedia Festival, which I think is still a thing. It might be called something else nowadays, but
I don't know.
Anyways, I
was reading books.
It's called Bandwagons. I don't even know if I still have a copy of it, to tell you the truth. I kind of wish I did. It's probably somewhere, but I got to look for it.
What's the name? The internet will find it for us. I'm confident.
It's called Bandwagon, and it's these characters. It's a typical teenager following the crowd kind of rebelling against following the crowd. It has this guy on a couch, and he slowly the scene changes. There's 3 different scenes, and he slowly loses limbs as it goes along, and other people see him as he loses his arms, and then the scene changes, and so they lose their arms, but now he's missing his legs, and basically he turns into a lump on the couch. And in the very last scene, the 2 guys that are also there following his path are like, we're not going to go that far, and that's how it was. Anyways, I would consider that my debut in the 3D realm in general, which really got my start into that. So
Nice.
So there was some education and stuff before, like school projects, but this is all Will. So anyways.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, so that was the 3D end of it. The illustration end of it, I've been doing as long as I can remember too.
I like that in your first project you had this like social commentary about conformity.
Anybody who knows me, I'm very much into the cerebral in stories. I like to really think about stories and dig into it, probably way more than you probably should. And you'll probably see that when we talk a little bit about the retro gaming a little bit more. But I love digging into politics and philosophy and thinking about how that applies to me and to my art as well. So
nice.
Yeah.
I put most of my politics on imaginary worlds. Keep a little distance between me and reality.
Yeah.
That helps for me.
Well, and Bandwagon was definitely on the nose. It had all the finesse of a senior high school student that couldn't focus on anything. So, meaning it wasn't much. But
now, did you have a lot of that peer pressure? Did you feel that desire to conform?
That's a good question. I thinking back on high school and my group of friends, I felt like I was kind of in the run-of-the-mill group of friends. There wasn't too much special there. I wasn't like with the jocks or the ultra nerds. It was just kind of floating in between groups. I was in drama, but I was in art, but I was in the computer classes too, and I talked to popular kids every once in a while. I was an SBO, a student body officer, my senior year, so I was talking to faculty and other kids that were involved with that quite a bit. So I was kind of a little bit everywhere. I did like my alone time though. I loved playing video games, and so I wasted way too much time when I was younger playing video games. But yeah, that's
so you didn't really have a exclusive enough peer group to maybe feel that peer pressure you're saying.
Yeah, no. And I really think it was just teenage angst that
nice.
it was what can I comment on that I can relate
that
to?
That fueled a lot of art.
So,
right?
Yeah. So that's what it turned into, and it was a competition piece too. So I was hoping it'd stick out. Turns out nobody else entered anything into the competition, so got first place. But
good.
Oh, so that's an interesting story. Let's talk about that, and this is a frustration, and if I get a little too negative here, tell me. But in junior
here we'll start out with a joke then, or not even a joke. I think I actually had an uncle who entered a rodeo. Might have been a cousin. Yeah, immediate family member. Who entered a rodeo, was the only one who entered and still got third. So
really?
I'm assuming they gave first to the bull. So when you said you were the only one who entered, I actually remembered that and was already like, so did you win? I'm glad you won.
Yeah,
Anyways.
yeah. I got first place, but that's because nobody else entered into 3D. And it was a pretty new thing for the high school level, the 3D animation stuff. And so that's probably why. And so I don't really consider it a win. I consider it a personal win that I got something finished and entered it and people saw it.
Nice.
So that's how I look at it.
All right. We're ready now, Will.
Okay.
Go deep.
So something that's frustrated me, and this could be where I was born and raised, but I didn't take hardly any art classes in junior high and high school because the first art classes I took in junior high, I entered into the art show and I took it very seriously. I wanted to do the best I could. Turns out nobody else, as far as I knew, my perspective, nobody else took it seriously. And so guess who got all the ribbons? Will got all the ribbons.
Heck yeah.
And after that, I'm like, I'm not going to do art shows anymore because if there's no competition, what's the point? And so
I'm tired of beating all these morons.
Well, no, it isn't. It isn't that though. It's like, what's the point of doing it if nobody's competing? And it's like you walk out onto the football field and you're the only one there, right? It's no fun. Anyways, this happened a couple more times. So in high school, I went for Sterling Scholar, and there was one other kid that entered in for artist, but he didn't have the credentials at all to qualify to even run, and so it was. Will's the default again. And so, and I got to state with that. The best part of that experience was I got to meet Greg Olson. I don't know if you know Greg Olson. He's an LDS artist.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea it was him until after I walked out of the room, out of the interview, and there one of my classmates, she's like, "You know who that is?" No, it's Greg Olson. I'm like, "Holy crap! I'm glad I didn't know that." Anyways, it was good. But anyways, same thing happened with Sterling Scholar, and I was really frustrated with that, and I got to college. And we can hop back to the 3D stuff here if we want to, but I got to college and I was so bored in college that I was doing projects outside of class, and I was in a 2D animation class with the dean of the multimedia department. I was showing him my stuff, and he's like, "Will, go get a job because you're already doing stuff that the senior portfolio students are working on." And
you don't belong here, boy.
And that one's a little bit different. The high schools had started a 3D animation program, and so the colleges were way behind. And so I've always been kind of disenchanted with formal education because it felt like, I don't want to say they couldn't keep up with me, but that's what it looks like from the outside. But it was,
call it like it is,
so
man.
yeah, and so I've always been self-motivated, and I think those experiences are why I'm self-motivated, because I feel like those institutions aren't really ready to support me, and so haven't been anyways. So
Okay.
anyways.